So this is an amazing sponsored project between Gravity Sketch, Adidas and De Montfort University that's really allowing our students to test those innovative boundaries of design. These sorts of opportunities are fantastic for students. It's going to equip them with a brand new skill set that they'll be able to take into industry and use throughout their entire careers.
We had 6 weeks on the project with a group of design from Adidas and the Gravity Sketch mentors. It's amazing how much they learned in 6 weeks. Today we had the final review with the students. We showed the work from the 8 best designers actually from the university. Really happy with the outcome. It took very long, to get here and to make everything possible, but at the end, it's outstanding.
We've done mentorship and meeting everybody and week-to-week check-ins. Everybody was very excited to show the presentations and the work was incredibly good.
It was really nice to see how people present themselves and their project and their thought process. And
the work on Gravity Sketch was really impressive.
Very excited to be part of this program. It's super interesting for us to find new talent in the design space. Always intrigued to see how far we can stretch the brand and how far we can stretch our concepts, and definitely blown away by the levels of thinking and the different, angles the students have taken to come up with new ideas.
Everybody's gone above what we ever expected this project to be, and it's a lot to take on everything that Adidas is and everything that you learn in Gravity Sketch and come out and do a presentation to big dogs at the end of it. So for the students to pick up as much as they did in 6 weeks, it's fantastic.
No, I think for us, we are always looking for new inspiration for our team to take a next step, and I think that the team really, captured our imagination with the concepts they worked on. They were probably a little bit nervous, but I think they all did amazingly well with how they presented their content, their thinking. It was real, right? It was real consumer thought-provoking ideas. Yeah, there was designs that were out there. There was designs that were quite close to something that with a little polish would be very close to what we'd go to market with.
This project has allowed me to interact with people within the industry, talk to people who know the way of working as a footwear designer, and coming here, especially to the headquarters, you can really see how it works and what goes on a day-to-day basis.
Honestly, the best part has been just working with the Adidas team, having that connections. It's great, to have your designs seen by people of that caliber. It's crazy.
I'm really, really grateful, to be fair. It's just it's been a really honor.
It was definitely an amazing experience to be able to present in front of the team, especially Torben as well. And I think that I've learnt skills that I can definitely take forwards into the future.
For us at Gravity Sketch, we learn so much from doing these projects. We're always really impressed by how students take the software, really push it further than we expect it, and try out different workflows and test different ways of working with it.
No, I think the different formats of the team working on Gravity Sketch and also showing us with the headset the models was a great way to look at it. It was fun. I think to see the product in that way and to interact with the actual person who designed it was kind of cool that you could talk with them and see the 3D renders at the same time. It was definitely a good way to kind of convince us that their design and their thinking behind it was super interesting.
For them, it's easier to show actually what we want to do, right? You have the 3-dimensional model, you can easily apply colors, materials, you have the story boards behind, and then you have this impression that you're really in a room. I think it's a new way of working.
I believe there's a huge opportunity for us to bring design technology into the overall process, to push the boundaries and showing us a new way of how we can be much more explorative and much faster also in developing new ideas.
I had no experience with Gravity Sketch before this project, but I think now that I've done the training sessions and obviously used it to create my designs, I think that it's definitely something I'll be using going forwards in future projects.
It's the easiest software that 3D software that you can use. It just kind of opens up a different part of the creativity in your brain.
So with Gravity Sketch, because it's 3D, it can be incorporated with everything. So from wireframes, surfacing, to 3D printing an actual sole. So it could be used in pretty much every step of the design process for any shoe.
It opens up more opportunity to create a better shoe.
Gravity Sketch will definitely be a big part of the future of footwear design.
We believe when the DMU and the Gravity Sketch project designers come with the skills, they will immediately step in and also can spread the skill with the other designers, and then the designers learn way faster.
So this program is very important for students. They get to learn how the footwear industry works and work alongside designers from Adidas and learn the skills they need for going into the industry.
I would just like to say a huge thank you to both Gravity Sketch and Adidas for their help and support throughout this project. It has been phenomenal and we are so grateful and so excited.
I think the skills that I've learned through Gravity Sketch and also the experience of presenting in front of a well-known brand will definitely help me be more confident going forwards in applying for footwear design roles.
Wow, what an amazing project. It makes me want to go back to school and do that. So now let's welcome the creative people that made this possible. Welcome to Ilka, Nanette, Molly, Dimitri, and Jonathan. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Around. So if you would be able to introduce yourselves briefly, that would be great. Ilka, we can start with you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Ilka. I'm the VP footwear design lead in Adidas Originals. So basically, I lead a team of 40 people for colors, materials, and product design throughout running, classics, women's, kids, and exclusives in Herzogenaurach.
Awesome. Welcome. Dimitri?
So I'm Dimitri Gabelier, footwear designer for Originals, so here in Germany too. I've been here for 3 years, a bit more. But 5 years ago, I just finished the course in DMU, so it's a full circle. So pretty nice, very good.
Jonathan, let's go with you.
I'm a senior lecturer on the footwear design course at DMU. I also do some freelance footwear design, and I worked at Adidas 150 years ago. It's good to get some of my old students, work with some of my old students that are now at Adidas.
Nanette?
Hi everyone, I am Nanette Westberg-Brown. I'm the Programme Course Leader of the BA Honours Footwear Design Programme here at De Montfort University.
Nice. And Molly?
I'm a student at De Montfort University doing footwear design.
Amazing. Well, this was, that video just showed so much. It was a dream project, I would say. New technology, new tools, a brand like Adidas, just presenting to these guys. It probably was mind-blowing for all of the students. Could you describe the project brief and the outcome that you were looking for? And that's for anyone that wants to answer.
Molly, do you want to go for it for the brief or?
Yeah. So the brief was to reinvent a style from the archive. So we were given sort of a collection of different styles from different eras, and we had to reinvent them for today's market. So you had to choose a theme and then redesign the style whilst incorporating a few of the aspects of the original design. So I chose to recreate the Sprint, which was a sprint shoe in the 70s, and I incorporated it with a theme of ballet and hyper femininity and created a ballet collection, but it was built off the original Sprint.
Cool. And so why did you, all of you decided to get involved? DMU and Adidas and obviously Gravity, but how did this project actually came to be, and what was the goal for it? And Ilka, you probably have some things to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it started 9 months ago. I think we took 9 months actually to make that happen. And that was just a spontaneous meeting with the Gravity Sketch owner and with Max, who always get in contact with us. We just wanted to talk about how do we be better in Gravity Sketch and so on. And then we had at the same time the same idea. We said, come on, let's do it together with a university. We used to do that before COVID with other university, but not on a digital tool, more on a sketching concept thing. And then Max said immediately, yes, let's do it. And then we started it. We did brainstorm. How can we do that together? What brief do you get, and so on. So basically, we thought that, of course, we want to learn Gravity Sketch in our team, but it takes a while to get on. And we said, in the future, if we upskill students with that tool and with that skill, we get them, we hire them, and then we have already a designer actually in the team that can spread the skills. We can talk about, we can learn from each other way easier. So that was actually the starting point for the project. And now it got to life, and we're so happy to have it. The outcome was like 8, as everybody did great, but the 8 best came to Adidas and presented, and all of them are potential new stars, that we can take immediately when they're done, basically their university. So that's how it started, and yeah.
What a dream for those 8. And also, I mean, it's really interesting to hear you say, you were already thinking about adopting the tool, but it usually takes time. And right now, everywhere, right? Not only with Gravity Sketch, with so many other tools as well. We're seeing a really big change in how we do things in design. And so I think it was kind of a great approach for you to think about let's work with the students. So then, it's not only on us to be able to adopt that, but to with everyone. And I would love to kind of touch a little bit on that, Ilka. You were already thinking about using Gravity Sketch. Why was that? And the title of this session has collaboration in it and communication. So I wonder if through this project, and this is for all of you guys as well, you figured out that if Gravity Sketch, or if there was a way of communicating in a better way with everyone involved in the process.
Yeah. I mean, I can quickly start. Of course, we wanted to use it because everybody else is using it in Adidas, and other BUs were already way, way further. So we said we can't be the only BU who is not getting on. So for sure, and we see the benefit of creating things on our own. We don't have to go to a Explorer team or to other people that can have the skills actually. So that's one thing. Then also how to present it to a crowd and how to work together is amazing because it creates the world. And then the final goal was actually one day that we can hand over to the factories, work with the factories, and get faster in the process with handovers and all those things. And yeah, I think we will get there in smaller steps. But I think it's the future, like how we work in general with digital tools. It's more efficient and yeah.
And I would love to bring the perspective from the other side. So Molly, Ilka is talking about how to implement it in the actual, day-to-day work in Adidas. And then on your side is as a student, how you're used on presenting, how you're used on communicating your ideas. Was this different for you?
Yeah, so it was completely different. I'd never had any experience on 3D design. So it was really cool because it's so immersive that it's quite intuitive and it's easy to pick up. So once you've learned the basics, it's really fun. It makes your imagination go further than what you might have first thought because you're creating it in 3D. And it's really cool because a lot of the projects that I've worked on before, a lot of the programs used, they are all on your laptop or on a computer. So it's nice to have something completely different. And it literally being so immersive. It's just a whole different way to design.
Yeah. And so I wonder, design education, and this is probably for Jonathan and for Nanette, design education tends to always, you're always looking to prepare students with the skills that they need so that they can actually go and work. And that's why it tends to be quite traditional, quite kind of always the same, because this is what big companies are expecting, right? Like that's the process that gets followed. But right now we're living in a moment that it's a little bit like that those things are changing, right? And probably that's why Adidas kind of like approach you guys to like figure out this project. But how do you teach things like this, or how do you assess how to implement these new tools or processes that might be disrupting what it's going to work for students when they graduate?
Do you want me to take it, or should
You can go for it if you want.
It's very difficult to kind of, we do tend to, go with the core skills. So we're looking at basically how can someone understand how to make a shoe and sketch a shoe and design a shoe and, all that kind of basic, or not even basic, but, skills that they need to understand how to make shoes and design a shoe from scratch themselves. So then adding those kind of like things like Gravity Sketch or another 3D program or other programs on top of it, on top of like what we're already doing with like Adobe Illustrator and render programs and things like that, it's difficult to be able to know what to, because it's quite difficult in a university sense. We can't just go out and buy a load of headsets and start doing a new software if that software is not going to exist in 2 years or something like that, or everyone moves on to something else, which like even in the few years that I've been working in universities, there's been other things have come along and then disappeared in the last 10 years. So it's kind of like difficult to keep up with that, but as long as we're covering the core skills, and then hopefully we can add things like that on top of it, so the students have a really good base understanding of shoemaking, and then they can kind of build on top of that. And yes, I think sometimes our students might lose out to someone that can do flashy renderings, but we can do flashy renderings to an extent as well. But we also do well because we teach them the core skills of footwear, where a product design student or a car design student wouldn't have those. Like I was a car design student, so I had the flashy renderings, but not the footwear knowledge. So it's good, it's good that we can give our students those skills to go into the industry and kind of understand how to make a shoe, and then add other things on top of that. I'm probably waffling now. Do you want to take over a minute?
I was just going to say, yeah, it's specialist knowledge and training that you would only really get from a footwear dedicated education. So yeah, just to re-emphasize what Jonathan was saying, we teach our students all the core basics. So we mix in the heritage of the traditional craft of shoemaking, but also it's finding that balance with innovative advancements, and that that's where Gravity Sketch and this project came in. And I think it's one thing for us as lecturers to stand at the front of a classroom and try and deliver content. To then work on a live project such as this really does contextualize that from students, because Dimitri and Adina were fantastic mentors throughout the entire project, and the students being able to speak to them directly and have their work seen by the likes of Ilka and Torben. I mean, it's a wow moment that it's a bit of a once in a lifetime pinch me moment. So it's been fantastic.
Absolutely, and we didn't pick just the, let's say, random university. We picked DMU because we knew that DMU is educating the students from scratch, from a like human shoemaking kind of. And then we have also Dimitri and Adina we have actually three: Adina, Dimitri, and Joe actually are the best designers in Adidas. So that's why we know what we get actually from this university, and put on top the Gravity Sketch skills so they can even be better. So,
I mean, Dimitri's been through it. What do you, as one of the best designers in Adidas?
There you go, with a massive compliment.
One.
I'll take it.
Do you want to tell, like, what was useful for you from university, and what maybe would you have liked to have learned?
I think there's quite an interesting thing is like the first job I had was mainly because I knew how to make shoes, and I knew how, like most of the people when they apply to footwear jobs don't have a clue of how a shoe is made. So I think like DMU just put the basics, you have your standard, you know how to make a shoe, and that's a massive help. But now it's a reality that
it wasn't any old job. That was actually Givenchy.
yeah. I mean, it went straight in high fashion. It was nice. But it's also true that it's evolving very fast. I mean, it really feels like, when Illustrator arrived on the market and everyone was doing blueprints by hand, and then Illustrator arrived and they had to learn. It seems like it's the same transition we are into now. So I think it's also very important that people are moving with the flow and not against. So I think it's nice that DMU just accepted that.
And I'm
did
sure,
that project.
Dimitri, you would have loved a project like this when you were at university, wouldn't you? To
Yeah.
work with Gravity
Yeah,
Sketch and a big brand name such as Adidas.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. It's incredible. And it's a skill that I think when the students right now will apply to brands or to Adidas, if they have in their CV, I know how to use Gravity Sketch. Everyone knows that is part of the future. So it's a massive bonus for them too.
I think something that Ilka touched on before is that when you are in industry, finding time to then learn a new skill, such as learning Gravity Sketch or 3D modeling, you've already got a full-time job to do. So from our perspective in education, being able to equip the current students with this skill set, we're, sending them out into industry with something additional and above and beyond what might be expected by current industry standards. So it's another phenomenal aspect of it.
Yeah, and there's a point, I think, Danielle, you touched on it, is like the connection between the people also. It's just that now we don't have time to learn Gravity Sketch to sketch in Adidas because we have a lot of projects going on. So as I said before, it's like, or you sleep or you learn the software. But there is different stuff. I mean, I thought about it when people were presenting, the students were presenting the work. They were in VR, and people could be in different room, and they could join the room and just watch the presentation and everything. And this idea of like connection, even now we do our project in Asia, but we work here. So sometimes maybe the factory can be in the same room as us, as we're in different parts of the world, and just talk about the tooling, for example, that we're working on, and just explain like what will we change on the design. So there's a lot of different stuff with Gravity Sketch that we can explore, and it's exciting for the future.
Yeah, and I would love to dive a little bit deeper on that because Dimitri, you mentioned when Illustrator happened, then people had to learn it and so on. But then Jonathan and Nanette, you were also talking about like you teach the basics, and that's never going to change, right? Like a shoe designer is going to know how to design shoes, whatever tool they're using. That's it, right? The only thing that changes is the tool that they're using so that they better communicate what like those ideas that they have in their head, and they get to work with other people. And so now we're seeing this shift of we went from like blueprints to like Illustrator. Now we're starting to see Gravity Sketch, but also some other tools that are 3D, right? And so now the world is changing towards that direction. And I wonder how you're seeing all of this, from the education side of things, but also from the Adidas perspective. Like right now, designers, footwear designers tend to be quite 2D because that's been the tradition. Now we're starting to see that, 3D allows people to be able to communicate better. When you have people jumping into the same VR space, then you get to speak with people in different parts of the world, and it helps the process. It brings the process, maybe shorten it, or it brings conversations that maybe were happening super far into the process. Now they're starting to happen, like at the sketch level. So how first, like I guess I have two questions. Like, how do you see this shift taking place, as in like being a very, very 2D process, and now we're starting to see 3D, and how are you evolving with that? And what are the benefits that you're starting to see with people working in 3D?
I think the journey is going very quick. I have to say, every month or every 2 months, new skill and new tools and platforms coming up, and people are really interested in. They test. Also, I can speak from our team. They test different tools that come up. Maybe some of them don't go forward, but at least they know what they can do, right? And then the visualization is way better, because you can, when you have your sketch, and we have a system where we put our sketch in, and then you get rendering the 3D shoe, and very quick we have this kind of opportunities in Adidas actually to do. Then we can print it out. We can, all the colors that we have on shoes, we print out in a mini shape. Then you have a 3D actually overview. We use it for presentations, to invite people in those worlds and show digital things. We use it also in the future. That's our goal, to use it actually also when we basically present to our market. When they come twice a year to us and see the shoes on the wall, right? But we want to show them the world where the shoes are, where they're coming from, what is the community, all those kind of things that help us with those digital tools, right? Then what we said before, the factory communication or the headquarters. We have 3 or 4 headquarters around the world. How do we talk to them in different things? How do we get more ideas with, ChatGPT or whatever creates ideas, and then we go on forward. There's so many things that we can do actually. So I'm not sure what else is coming, but it's a fantastic development in my opinion. But you need to remember where you're coming from. You need to know how a shoe is done. This is the most important thing, because a lot of young designers coming in, they love to sketch, they love to shine with the renderings, but then at the end, when it comes to handover, you realized the basics are actually missing, and then for some of us, like me and Jonathan, I would say we started 20 years or longer ago. So I was doing my tech pack drawing by hand, right? And now you have the gravity sketch you can take out. Yeah, so it's became from how do you say, analog to digital. It took a while, but now it's going so fast. You can't catch up actually with the digital tool, and makes it so easier. I'm a fan of it, I have to say.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like when I learned Photoshop and other people hadn't learned it yet, and it kind of feels a bit like that at the moment, where there's that kind of disparity in people's skills, and maybe there's some people, like you said, getting jobs where they don't have the basics, but they can do like something that looks kind of amazing, but actually, they don't really know what's going on. But I suppose you need that mix anyway, and it's good to have that creativity. I think the AI thing is a bit strange, and probably when it first came in, everyone thought like, oh, this is going to be crazy, that AI is going to take over designers' jobs, and then everyone realized that AI was kind of like, nah, it's all right, but it's not as amazing as maybe people first thought it was. And I don't think it's not at a point yet where it's like you can use it to work for you properly. It's like it's not doing what you tell it to do. Like, if it was a part of Photoshop that really worked exactly like you wanted it to, then I'm sure it'll get there in like 10 years or something.
And the only good thing about ChatGPT is you can make them work overnight. You input, they work, and you come back in the morning and you have millions of ideas, and then you take the best out of it. I think that's brilliant. 24 hours kind of shift.
Yeah.
I think for 3D design, though, I think a lot of people that I've spoken to in the industry, one of the things that draws them to the use of 3D CAD is obviously there's the big focus on sustainability now. And in footwear in particular, we are known for oversampling. And if we are able to implement 3D CAD, 3D renders, it may reduce sampling in some format. Ilka mentioned before how it's brought into presentations. So I think, there's more work to be done on it. I don't think it's 100% there yet, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think that's why, it's definitely why we need to incorporate it into our curriculum, and we are, moving forward with that as well. But I think that's why the industry, and especially sort of Ilka mentioned before, they wanted to be involved in this project. I know other brands and companies who want to incorporate it but maybe haven't figured out how to do so yet. So a project like this was a fantastic instep into that, no pun intended.
And so, Molly, I would love to hear from you. How do you, because we are all talking about like the changes of the workflow and like how things were done, and now they're going to be different. And Ilka's speaking about like things going really fast and so on. But you're lucky to be like right now at the start of your career, because you're just going to come out with all of this already inside of you. But you've seen a little bit of the way that now things are being done, right? Because the change hasn't fully happened. And so with this project, how did you feel, from the way that you were used on working, and now working, in a three-dimensional way, having these three-dimensional conversations, jumping into a studio, a virtual studio with everyone? How do you feel about the process? Were you able to bring your ideas out in an easier way? Were you able to kind of like just think about things differently? I would love to hear a little bit more about how you experienced the process.
So when I first started university, I hadn't used any like Illustrator or Photoshop or anything. So like I've still quite recently learned that, like in the past 2 years. So it was good to have learned that and then add on Gravity Sketch, because that all the programs can work together quite well. So it's nice to have those basics, and then to add this on, it's really cool to like bring to life what already looks really realistic and effective in other programs. So that was cool. And also it's really good that you can like sketch by hand and then take the sketch into Gravity Sketch and then work from it like that. So for those that would still want to incorporate the older way, like another way to do it, you can like bring that into this 3D through the headset. You can bring it all together and like create something really like different to what you might have created on another program, with it being 2D. And it's also really good because when you're like sketching, you do like different angles of your style. But if you're making a 3D design in the headset, you can obviously just pick it up, move it around, see what it looks like from different angles, which then I guess it does eventually save you time. And with like the sustainability as well, we're taught obviously a lot about sustainability at the moment. Like a lot of our projects have a part in it where you have to incorporate how this project and your ideas could be sustainable. And like when we went to Adidas, they 3D printed our styles so we could physically like have them in hand, which would then is sustainable because you wouldn't need to make as many samples. But from like becoming a student, not knowing anything, to knowing all of these different programs is really good, because you can you automatically start thinking what you might do, what section of your project or design in what program.
Nice. Yeah. Dimitri, do you have something to say about it?
Not really. No, no, not really. I think it's pretty fair.
I'll just ask Molly then, because you're going to go into your final year and have to make all the shoes that you do, and you're already pretty good at making because of you did the apprenticeship at Dr. Martens as well, which I don't know if people know. So you know a little bit more technically than like a lot of the other students, and you're going to have to make your shoes. Do you think you're going to use Gravity Sketch and then try and make the shoes from that? Maybe you could 3D print some parts and then make other parts of the shoe or something. Do you think it's going to be useful?
Yeah, I think it will be useful, because I can literally take a photo of something that I make physically, put it into the headset, and then build upon the photo, so I can see how things work without having to actually physically do it. And then with our 3D area at university, we can print things quite easily. So I think I would would definitely try and incorporate the programs because they can work together really well. So yeah, I think I will do that.
Okay, I just wondered.
And so it would be great to hear a little bit before we jump into the questions from the audience, to hear how, after all of this experience that you've been through, and I mean, just watching like the video of the project and like everyone just like working in a very different way, how do you see this future actually taking shape? And what are like the advantages that you see, of course, but also some of the challenges? Because if we're being honest, this is like, Ilka, you speak about like things going really fast, but also new technology always has its hiccups. So how's this future looking like in terms of the opportunities but also the challenges?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not only one tool is making the magic, right? It's a combination of it, and it's the human creativity as well, right? If you're not creative, you can be perfect on the tool, but at the end, nothing is coming out right. People think sometimes if you can do Illustrator, you're a designer. It's not the case. It's the other way around. You pick your tools that make your idea or your project like shining, and you can sell it, right? So that's the first of it, and we never had so many different tools to make that actually even better. So for me, it's faster, it's more diverse, and the variety you get out of that things is you can't do just with sketching, in my opinion, right? So that's good. And then yeah, what I said, you save a little bit of your time when you input something or work with another team. They do something for you, and then you get the perfect kind of base already back in 3D or 3D file, things like that. Then we can carry on working, and it looks very future realistic. You know what I mean? Like what we render at the end, it looks so realistic that markets buy it. They can imagine our marketing look at it. We can sell it better to marketing, because we are showing now most of the time flat cats, right, colored in on the colors, and sometimes it's hard to read what we are actually want to express as a designer, right? So that helps in a certain way. And I think the challenge is, for me, we shouldn't lose the feeling of the product, right? The feeling is sometimes when you sketch by hand, it's a little bit. Sometimes you have some random lines that create something, right? Graffiti sketch is also a little bit like that. When you don't know the skills 100% good, you make a line, and all of a sudden it creates something. So I think this creativity and this human feeling about designing, we shouldn't lose. So maybe we should go back sometimes, like as you said, Molly, sketching, then take the sketch, put it in 3D, take it back, sketch over, do a Photoshop or whatever. All those kind of tools helps you to make it the best design, in my opinion, and to sell it the best to your counterpart, and to sell it at the end actually to the market. And even in the stores, I think, could help as well, if you have a digital wall or something where you can do something that people feel you're actually in the world, and you're part of Adidas Originals in our case, right? So they're connected and part of the community.
Cool. All right. Well, let's jump into the questions from the audience. What is the first tool you use in your design process? This is coming from Austin White, but I'm not sure who he's asking it to. So if anyone wants to answer that.
Mine was Illustrator.
Sketching, yeah.
Maybe a fine one.
Yeah.
All right, next one. So Lyubov Timeva. I'm completely destroying your name. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the session. I have a question to Ilka. What is your opinion on how much of footwear styles will be produced in Gravity Sketch in the nearest future, 2 years, in Adidas, in percentage? And do you use it for absolutely new styles or for carryovers as well?
Yeah. Percentage, I can't tell. I mean, our company is mega, mega big. I know that other BUs are really fast. You know, you are amazed how good they can do it. And they starting also to hand over to factory with Gravity Sketch. So they are really far forward. I can't give a percentage. I think, and I also don't know how long it takes. I think almost every BU is now onboarded, and we are starting as an origin starting slow, but the other BUs are way further. So I think, what did you ask? How many percentage? I can't, but nearest 2 years, I think we get quite far. 2 years is a lot in this digital world, I would say. Yeah.
Great. And this one is from Shoryan Maney. How important is the significance of Gravity Sketch among other skills and software for a recent graduate seeking opportunities in the industry? For anyone.
I would say it's like, I mean, just gonna, yeah. It can be as important as the others. I think it's also the way you feel comfortable with. I mean, there's some software that I don't feel comfortable with, but some of them I like feel very comfortable with, and that's what I show in my portfolio applying for things. So I don't know if Gravity Sketch will be needed for everyone. If you really don't feel comfortable with it, I mean, I really struggle with motion sickness and everything. So for me, it's not the one I spend the most time on, but I spend more time on different ones. So I think it's just, yeah, it's a bit of everything.
I mean, speaking some of the designs in Adidas Performance, they were a bit more like, you know, it's whatever software you're most comfortable with. So like some of them were better on Blender or Rhino or something like that. So I think it's important to have that 3D skill, but what software that is within, Gravity Sketch, is, you know, as long as you're comfortable within a 3D software of some sort, then you can use that and kind of, but Gravity Sketch is the best, obviously.
This is not meant to be a Gravity Sketch commercial, so
No, of course not, if there was one.
But yeah, it's more important. Like the important thing, as you were saying, is like now starting to be like 3D literate, right? So that you're able to show your designs in that way. Here's one from Bryson Scott. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the session. My question is for Dr. Brown. I was wondering how the footwear education process starts. I am an educator with a desire to learn the fundamental foundations of footwear design.
Best thing you can possibly do is come and study specified footwear education. I mean, you know, we're based over here in the UK. There's you know, fabulous places to study. I know we're joined in the audience. We've got Jane with us. So you know, there's fantastic places to study. You're not going to be able to pick up the fundamentals from footwear design from Google. You are going to have to, you know, go through a set program, and you know, the curriculum is designed to take somebody who potentially knows very little and maybe just has a passion for footwear, and the curriculum will take you through so that you exit the program and are deemed industry ready. And you know, we work a lot with industry, especially live projects like this, to make sure that it's relevant, it's current, and it's what industry need from an upcoming graduate to then take them on into employment. I hope that answers the question.
Excellent, Dr. Brown.
Yes, thank you.
And so what are the next steps after doing this project? You know, I'm asking DMU, and then I'm asking Adidas as well, Dimitri and Ilka. Like, you know, are you on the Adidas side? Are you going to, like Ilka, start implementing it, or are you going to wait for like these new graduates that potentially join? And DMU, are you going to do another project like this one?
I mean, we would love to do another project like this one. We always we try and do as many live projects as possible. We certainly want to, or have plans to continue with 3D in our curriculum, and we'd love Gravity Sketch to be a part of that. So, you know, we just need to make sure we've got enough headsets, we've got enough you know, knowledge to be able to carry this on when we're not doing a sponsored project. But we will continue with 3D CAD and 3D modeling and VR within our curriculum. So it is something that is not going away. It's something that we will continue with. In terms of how that translates into industry, I guess this is where we pass over to Ilka and Dimitri.
Dimitri?
Ilka. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have an answer, I don't have an answer, but I can share at least what we're planning to do. So before we had just trainings, you know, to get upskilled. A lot of different designers, some of them picked it up, some others were not fan of it. So, but we have one person in the team that is really good already. And then what we're going to do with her is she's doing now for the new season, the concept or the product from A to Z, you know. She's going through the design process, she's doing the handover with that tool, and then she's also, or at least we try to communicate with the factory, and then we go to the factory and everything should be more or less based on Gravity Sketch, that we can also say, come on, you have seen now the whole process. Is this something, you know, that helps us? Is this something that go faster than just a 2D drawing approach? And then we find more people, share it with more people to see the benefit actually out of it, and then can onboard the team, you know, within. But then we get also the help from Gravity Sketch. That's one thing. And the other thing is what we mentioned before. We hope that we get the students, once they're done, that we get it in the team. And then I would say after a year, 2 years, we will have a lot of kind of people who can, you know, can roll with Gravity Sketch or in combination with other digital tools. That's the idea. So
yeah, I definitely think that it's obviously quite a time-consuming process to be like 100% competent on the program. So I guess like it's just timing on how to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing, whilst also for those that are already in the industry working, it's like making sure that you're still keeping up with your work and learning a whole new program. But if somebody learns it fully, it's easier for someone to teach you how to do it in person, because we had a lot of boot camps where we'd wear it and we'd have like a whole group of people on with you. Sometimes you just like want somebody with you to like tell you what to do. So I think like it's probably just like the timing of learning how to use it. It's going to be like the main thing for, I guess, a big company.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to maybe have this conversation in 2 years and see what happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, like not only to see how the process changes, but also how maybe like the actual process of bringing the shoe to life changes as well. So maybe we'll have you back in 2 years and see what happened.
That's a great idea.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an amazing conversation. I think we can just continue having a conversation. Again, we'll invite you in 2 years. But for now, this is it. Thank you so much, Dimitri, Ilka, Jonathan, Annette, and Molly.
Ta-ta.
Thank you. Bye.